Good morning students. In last video explanation of chapter 8 cell structure and function, we were discussing about the parts of the cell. We have learned that there are basic three parts of the cell that we are going to discuss in this chapter is cell membrane, also known as plasma membrane. Second one is cytoplasm and the third one is nucleus. As well as we are going to learn about cell wall, the another structure which we able to see only in plants cell and it is not present in animal cell. So there we had learned about cell membrane and cell wall. Now today we will start with the cytoplasm. As I told you in the starting only that what is cytoplasm? Cytoplasm is the area between the plasma membrane and the nucleus. Okay, so how we are going to define cytoplasm? Cytoplasm is the jelly-like matrix present between the cell membrane and the nucleus. Now what is its role in that structure of cell? Cell organelles are present in it. I told you that cell needs number of organelles. Okay, number of organelles are present in cell which help in all its cellular activities. So where they are present? They all are present in cytoplasm. Cell organelles are present in cytoplasm and all cellular activities takes place in it. And every cell organelle has its own specific function. As in the human body, every organ has its own function. In the same manner, every cell organelle has its own specific function. Now let's discuss the next main part of the cell, that is nucleus. Nucleus is the dense spherical organelle present in cytoplasm of both plant and animal cell. Students, nucleus is known as the brain of the cell as it controls all activities of the cell. Nucleus is surrounded, when you will observe the structure of nucleus, you will find that nucleus is surrounded by a membrane called nuclear membrane. As in cell we call the membrane as cell membrane, the membrane of nucleus is termed as nuclear membrane, which gives a shape to the nucleus. Nuclear membrane is porous in nature, having nuclear pores. And what is its role? Obviously, it helps in exchange of materials or transfer of materials from inside of nucleus to the cell components. After nuclear membrane, we have the nucleoplasm in nucleus. As in cells, we have cytoplasm in nucleus. Cytoplasm. In nucleus, we have the fluid or jelly area present inside. We call it as nucleoplasm. Okay. Now nucleus contains, when you will observe the structure, you will find a tiny round body inside the structure of nucleus, and that tiny round body is called nucleolus. Okay, apart from nucleolus, inside the nucleus you will observe that thread-like structures are present, and that thread-like structures which is present inside the nucleus apart from nucleolus is called chromatins. And during cell division, these chromatins get condensed and change its shape and forms the rod-shaped structure called chromosome. Okay students, let's revise the structure of nucleus. What all I had told you just now. Nucleus is surrounded by a membrane, and what we are going to call that membrane as nuclear membrane. Inside nuclear membrane, we are going to have that matrix, jelly matrix. We used to call it as nucleoplasm. Nucleoplasm, after then in that nucleoplasm you will observe in that structure as a tiny round body, and that tiny round body is called as nucleolus. Apart from nucleolus, in that nucleoplasm you will find certain thread-like materials are present, and that thread-like materials are termed as chromatins. And these chromatins, when cell division takes place during the process of reproduction in organism, these chromatins get condensed and form rod-shaped structure called chromosomes. In your textbook, it is mentioned that thread-like material in nucleus is known as chromosome. But actually they are chromatins, and during the process of reproduction, they used to get condensed and forms the rod-shaped structure called chromosome. Remember this. But if definition is going to be asked as it is given in your NCERT book, so you can write thread-like structure present in nucleus is termed as chromosome. Now students, these chromosomes carry genes. And what are genes? Genes is the unit of inheritance. On these chromosomes we will able to find genes which are responsible for transfer of character from parents to offspring. Transfer of character from parents to offspring means you all know that we look similar or like means somewhat similar or totally identical to our parents sometimes, okay? And why is it so? As we used to get some features, some characters, means our hairs, our eye colors, our features used to match up with our parents. And why this happens? As we used to get genes from our parents. Likewise, sometimes we used to resemble our grandparents also, as through our parents we used to get their genes and maybe we look like that. Okay, so it is what is passing on from generation after generation, different genes. That's why we call these genes as the unit of inheritance. Inheritance means transfer. Okay, it is the thing which used to get transferred from one parent to their offspring, to their daughters or son. Okay, their children means. And these genes are actually responsible for different characters. And different characters like your eye color, hair color, skin color, your height, and so many other behavior and everything. These characters are responsible for that. Lastly, students, remember all the living matter in a cell is called protoplasm. All the living matter in a cell. And what all are living matter? We have learned cytoplasm, nucleus, and other organelles. Everything together we used to call it as protoplasm. Now students, there are two types of cells depending upon the type of nucleus present in the cell. Prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. Pro means the primitive, the older one, and karyon means the nucleus. So when in a cell, if a cell having primitive nucleus means ancient nucleus, now what is primitive nucleus? Primitive nucleus means, just now I told you about the structure of nucleus, and I told you that genetic material is present inside a nuclear membrane. So if the cell have nuclear, that this genetic material without any nuclear membrane directly in the cytoplasm, then we call such a cell or such a nucleus as the primitive nucleus. Okay, so what are prokaryotic cell? Pro means, just now I told you, it is the ancient one. So if cell having ancient nucleus means the genetic material is present as it is in the cytoplasm without any nuclear membrane. That cell is termed as prokaryotic nucleus. For example, in the bacteria and blue-green algae, you will able to see this kind of structure, that the genetic material is directly present in the cytoplasm and no nuclear membrane is going to surround it. Whereas in eukaryotic cell, eu means true and karyon means nucleus. Okay, so if the cell contains nucleus with nuclear membrane, that is actually true nucleus. Okay, with nuclear membrane, and genetic material inside it is present inside the nuclear membrane, then such a cell are called as eukaryotic nucleus eukaryotic cell. Students, what happens in primitive days when life arises on earth? That time all cells were prokaryotic. For example, bacteria, blue-green algae, etc. They did not have nucleus in it. They also doesn't have any other cell organelle in it. The genetic material are directly laid down in the cytoplasm, and very few cell organelles they used to have. Whereas eukaryotic cell, you can say, is the evoluted form. As the evolution takes place, changes takes place, so that prokaryotic cell they used to get some changes, and that changed cell, when they have the nucleus and other cell organelles in it, we used to call it as eukaryotic cell. For example, any of the plants, animals, cells or the fungal cells, etc. and many other examples are there. Now lastly, we are going to compare both the structure of plant cell and animal cell on the basis of certain of its parts given in this table. Okay. The first one is cell membrane. So let me know whether the cell membrane is present in both the cell or not. Yes, you will able to see cell membrane in both the type of cell, plant cell as well as animal cell. And what is cell membrane? Yes, it is the outer layer, outer covering of the cell. Next structure is cell wall. So where you are going to find cell wall? I told you. Yes, in the plant cell we will able to see the cell wall, and it is going to be absent in animal cell, as for certain reason plant cell required an extra protective layer. So outside cell membrane, that extra another layer is termed as cell membrane, cell wall, sorry. Always remember, the outermost layer in plant cell is cell wall, and after cell wall you will get the cell membrane. Whereas in animal cell, the outermost layer is the cell membrane. Now the third part, nucleus. So tell me, nucleus is you are going to see in both or not? Yes, we will able to see nucleus in both the cell, plant cell as well as animal cell. It is present in both. Next is nuclear membrane. So yes, we will able to find nuclear membrane also in both. Both are the example of eukaryotic cells. You will able to find nuclear membrane in both the kinds of cell. Next one is cytoplasm. Yes, obviously in both the cell we will able to see the cytoplasm in plant cell also and in animal cell also. Now the next part that we are going to use for comparison is plastids. Students, plastids are present in plant cells and it is absent in animal cells. When you will observe carefully the plant cell, in the cytoplasm you will find several small colored bodies, and that colored bodies are termed as plastids. And if that plastid is of green color, then we used to call it as chloroplast. And obviously where we will find chloroplast? In the plant cell only. Remember the colored structures of plant cell termed as plastids, and if that colored structure is green color, then we used to call it as chloroplast, and that chloroplast gives a green color to the leaves. Okay, you all know it very well, and it contains chlorophyll. It is green in color as it contains chlorophyll, which is a very essential content for photosynthesis. The last one on the basis of which we will differentiate is vacuole. When you will observe the structure of both plant and animal cell, you will find a blank looking structure, means totally blank, nothing is there inside. That is known as vacuole. So in plant cell, the vacuole used to be very large. The size of vacuole used to be quite large, and in an animal cell, number of vacuoles you will find but smaller in size. Whereas in plant cell you will find a big size of vacuole. Okay, in animal cell number of vacuoles will be there, but they all used to be smaller in size. So these are the points of differentiation when we are going to compare plant cell and animal cell. I hope a full concept of the chapter is clear to you all.